The Girl in the Rain. The sky over Daros 9 was always dark. Clouds never left. Storms came without warning. And when the purple rain fell, nothing moved, except him and her. Jack was a human soldier, one of the last stationed at Outpost 11. He was tired, he was angry, and he was alone. His friends had died in the last ambush. He had no one left. Only orders. Patrol the outer field. Return before the next storm. Repeat. Every day. But one evening, as the purple clouds rolled in, something changed. Jack was walking near the broken ridge, his boots sinking into wet alien mud. The sky cracked with silent lightning, but no thunder followed. Then, just as the first drops of glowing rain touched the ground, he saw her, a girl. She stood in the open, far from cover, her arms lifted toward the sky. The rain danced on her skin, but she did not run. She moved slowly, almost like she was dancing. Jack froze. She was not human. Her skin shimmered like silver glass. Her hair floated around her face like smoke. Her eyes glowed soft blue, and they were looking right at him. She did not speak. She only watched. Jack raised his weapon by instinct, but his hand shook. Something about her felt wrong, or maybe it felt too right. The girl turned slowly, letting the rain fall down her back. She moved with grace, with sorrow, with something Jack could not name. Then she smiled. It wasn't a normal smile. It was a smile that said, "I know you." Jack stepped back. "Who are you?" he asked, but his voice was lost in the storm. She didn't answer. Instead, she lifted her hand, just one, and pointed at him. Then her fingers slowly turned and she pointed to the ground in front of her. Calling him. Jack shook his head. "No, you're not real." He turned and ran. He did not stop until he was inside the outpost. The other soldiers laughed when he told them. "You saw what? A girl in the storm? Maybe you hit your head too hard, Jack." But Jack wasn't joking. He couldn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, dancing, calling him. The next storm came 2 days later. Jack told himself he wouldn't go. But when the sky turned purple, his legs moved on their own, out of the base, into the field. And there she was again, dancing in the rain, this time closer, this time smiling. She stepped toward him. Jack didn't run. He stood still, heart pounding, rain soaking through his clothes. He didn't understand what he felt. Fear? Wonder? Something more? She stopped just a few feet away. Her face was calm, her eyes still glowing. Then she lifted one hand and placed it gently on Jack's chest. His heart stopped for a moment. A warm pulse spread from her fingers through his skin. He felt something. Old memories, not his. Images of stars, oceans, war and peace. She looked deep into his eyes. Then, in the quietest voice, one that didn't come from her lips but straight into his mind, she said, "You're not alone anymore." And then, like smoke, she vanished. Jack stood alone in the rain, but he no longer felt alone. That night, he did not sleep. His dreams were filled with her eyes, her voice, and a feeling he could not shake, like a thread pulling him somewhere far away. He had seen many aliens in his time, some friendly, some cruel, but she was different. She didn't want to hurt him. She didn't want to help him. She just chose him. At dawn, Jack woke with a mark on his chest, a glowing circle, the same place where she touched him. And outside, even though the sky was clear, the rain had started again. The whispers grow louder. The mark on Jack's chest didn't fade. Even after days, it glowed faint blue under his skin. No one else could see it, but Jack could feel it, like it was alive, like it was listening. The other soldiers avoided him now. They didn't say it out loud, but he could see it in their eyes. They thought he was broken, cursed, dangerous. But Jack didn't care. He waited for the rain. On the fifth night, the storm came again. The sky burned purple. The clouds cracked with silent lightning. The same glowing rain began to fall, and Jack walked out alone. He reached the same place, the ridge where he first saw her. He waited. Nothing. Only wind. And wet mud. Then, he heard it. A voice. Soft. Inside. His mind. You came back. His heart stopped. He turned around. She was standing behind him, not dancing this time, just watching. Still, calm. Who are you? He asked. The rain fell between them. Cold, glowing, electric. She walked closer. Her bare feet didn't touch the ground. Her eyes stared into his. I waited for you, she said. Again, not with her mouth, but straight into his thoughts. Jack reached out, but she stepped back. Not yet, she said. Why me? Jack whispered. Because you heard me. The words made no sense, but Jack didn't argue. Deep inside, he felt it too. A strange connection, like he had always known her, like he was made to find her. Then she looked up. Her face changed. Fear. She turned to him quickly. They are coming. Who? Jack asked. The ones who broke me. Before Jack could speak, the rain around them began to rise, drops floating, upward instead of falling, and out of the storm shadows came. 4 figures. Tall, thin, alien. They moved without sound, their faces hidden under dark armor. Each one carried a curved blade glowing with red fire. Jack stepped in front of the girl. What are they? Hunters, she said. They want to take you, like they took me. The hunters saw Jack and stopped. One of them raised a hand and strange whispers filled Jack's head. Voices. Old voices. Angry voices. Give her to us or burn. But Jack didn't move. He reached for his pulse gun, but before he could fire, the girl stepped beside him and touched his arm. Let me show you, she said. And in that moment, Jack's vision changed. He wasn't standing in the rain anymore. He was somewhere else. A memory. But not his. He was in a silver palace. Thousands of strange stars in the sky. Crowds bowed before a glowing throne. And on that throne, her, the alien girl, but older. Dressed in light and gold, powerful, feared. She was a queen, and then came the fire, the hunters, the betrayal, the fall. Jack gasped and fell back into the rain. The girl looked at him, her face now full of sorrow. They broke me, she said. They chained my voice, locked my name. Now I am only a whisper. And you? You heard me. No human ever did. The hunters stepped closer. Jack raised his gun, but the girl stepped forward. Her eyes burned blue. She lifted one hand and lightning struck the ground in front of the hunters. They stopped. For the first time, they hesitated. The girl turned to Jack. They fear what you might become. Then she reached for his chest, touched the glowing mark, and whispered, You belong to me now, and they know it. Jack felt a rush of heat in his veins. His skin glowed, his gun melted in his hand, but he felt no pain. The hunters vanished into smoke. Back at the outpost, Jack collapsed near the gate. Medics took him in. He said nothing, but the machines couldn't read his pulse. And in his dreams that night, she came again. This time, her voice was louder, and this time she asked, Will you stay with me? When the rain never ends? Jack did not answer, but when he woke up, the mark on his chest was brighter, and his eyes were starting to glow. Marked by her, the rain didn't stop. For 3 days, it poured over Outpost 11. Machines failed, scanners went blind, and every soldier felt the weight of something watching them. But Jack wasn't afraid of the storm anymore. He belonged to it now. His body had changed. It started with the mark on his chest. Then his veins began to glow faint blue at night. Then his dreams, no longer dreams, became memories. Strange memories. He saw places he'd never visited, spoke words he didn't know, and always, she was there, the girl in the rain, watching him, whispering things he didn't understand. The base commander ordered a full scan. They thought Jack was infected. But the scanners broke when they touched him. Machines sparked and screens cracked. One medic tried to draw his blood, only to scream. When the needle melted, his blood is humming, the medic said, eyes wide. It's singing. No one believed it, but no one touched Jack again. That night, the girl came back. Not in the rain. In his room. Jack woke to find her standing by the window, the storm painting her face in purple light. She didn't speak, but her eyes were different now. Brighter, older, deeper. He stood. "What are you doing here?" he asked. She stepped closer. "You are changing," she said. "The mark is waking. Soon others will feel it. They will try to take you. What am I becoming? Mine." Her voice wrapped around his mind like silk and fire. Jack felt warmth in his chest and fear in his spine. She reached out and touched his forehead. Images filled his mind again. But this time, he didn't just see. He felt pain, betrayal, fire. He stood on a throne made of glass. Stars bowed before him. Voices shouted in languages no human ever knew. And then he saw her, kneeling before him, not as a queen, but as something lost, begging to be remembered. Jack gasped and fell back. The vision faded. The girl was still there. "You carry more than the mark now," she said. "You carry me." She walked toward the door. Before she vanished into the storm, she whispered one last thing. "If they take you, they take me, and I will not be taken again." Next morning, Jack looked into the mirror. His eyes were no longer brown, they glowed soft blue like hers. A new team arrived at the base. Not soldiers, scientists. They came with black suits and quiet words. They asked to see Jack. Not with force, but with smiles too perfect to trust. They wanted his blood, his memories, his secrets. "You've been touched by something beyond our understanding," one of them said. "We must study it." Jack refused. So they tried to take him. They came at night. 4 of them. Armed. Fast. Silent. Jack didn't run. When they opened the door to his room, the lights exploded. The storm outside screamed louder, and the girl was there. Not dancing this time. Not whispering. She was a storm. She lifted one hand, and lightning crawled across the walls. The scientists dropped their weapons. Their eyes turned white, they fell to their knees. "He is marked," she said, "and you will not touch what is mine." They fled, like animals. When she turned to Jack, her face was softer again. "What is happening to me?" he asked. She looked sad. "You are becoming the key." "To what?" "To what I lost." She stepped close, touched his hand. For the first time, Jack felt her skin. Cold like rain, soft like light, and behind that softness, power. Deep, ancient power. "Was this always your plan?" he asked. She didn't answer, only whispered. "I waited for lifetimes. I thought no one would ever hear me again, but then you walked into my rain, and the silence broke." Jack's body burned that night. He shook. He screamed. His skin glowed from within, and when he awoke, the mark on his chest had spread, up his throat, across his arms like roots, or wings. He walked outside in the middle of the night, barefoot, shirtless, eyes glowing. Soldiers stared as he passed, but no one stopped him. He walked into the rain. She was waiting there. They didn't speak. She stepped forward and knelt before him. And the storm, for the first time in 100 years, went silent. The others want him after that night. Jack didn't return to the outpost. He stayed near the storm fields, where the rain never stopped, and the wind whispered names no one remembered. The girl stayed close, silent but always watching. Jack felt stronger now. Faster. When he touched the ground, it pulsed beneath him. When he closed his eyes, he saw stars that hadn't risen yet. He was no longer fully human, and the galaxy had noticed. The first ship came during the third storm. It was not human. It hovered above the sky, hidden in clouds, but Jack felt it before anyone saw it. Something cold brushed against his mind like claws scraping old stone. The girl stood beside him and whispered, "They're coming." "Who?" Jack asked. "Those who remember my name. Those who fear what you are becoming." The ship landed far from the base in the salt flats beyond the ridge. Jack walked there alone. He was not afraid. 4 beings stepped out from the ship. Tall, thin, wrapped in black armor. Their skin was white as ice. Their mouths had no lips, and their eyes, black holes. They bowed when they saw Jack. "He carries her voice," one of them said. "He is the echo of the lost queen." Jack said nothing. "We felt the mark," the creature continued. "The storm whispered his name. He is not ready. He must be silenced before she awakens fully." Jack clenched his fists. "I didn't ask for any of this," he said. The creature hissed. "No one asks to become a weapon." The air shifted. The wind rose. The girl appeared beside Jack, eyes glowing like twin moons. "Touch him," she said, "and I will tear your blood from time itself." The creatures bowed again, but not in respect, in fear. "It's true," one of them whispered. "She's rising." They turned and vanished back into the clouds. The next day, more ships came, but not to fight, to worship. Alien pilgrims of different species landed on the wet hills. They knelt in the mud. Some brought gifts, crystals, old tech, weapons. Some just wept and whispered Jack's name. One even crawled close and kissed his feet. "You are the storm reborn," it said. "You are her chosen. You are the Skywalker." Jack pulled away. "I'm just a soldier," he said. "Not anymore," the girl whispered. Jack grew tired. He didn't want to be a symbol. He didn't want power, but he couldn't go back. He dreamed. Every night now, strange voices spoke in his head. Some warned him, some begged him, some tried to control him, and in every dream, he saw fire, burning cities, screaming stars, and a shadow bigger than space itself. The girl told him the truth. "Was not just a queen," she said one night as they stood in the rain. "I was a voice of balance. I kept the void away." "What void?" Jack asked. "The thing that eats light. It broke into our world after I fell. You felt it already. It's awake again." Jack looked up at the sky. The stars seemed to flicker. Then, "Stop it. I can't," she said softly. "Not alone. I need a body, a soul, a key, and that is you." Before he could speak, the earth shook. A new ship landed, this one bigger than any before. It was human. General Rivas stepped out, old war scars across his face, soldiers behind him, weapons locked. He saw Jack and didn't smile. "You're coming with us," Rivas said. "You're a threat now, not just to us, but to everything." Jack stood still. The girl walked beside him. "If they shoot, they die," she whispered. Jack didn't want war. But when Rivas raised his hand, someone fired, and the storm screamed. Light exploded across the field. Soldiers dropped to the ground. Jack didn't move, but his skin burned with power. The mark glowed bright white now. His feet rose off the ground slightly, his voice echoed. But it wasn't just his. "Do not touch the queen's vessel," the voice said through him, "or you will drown in your own blood." Rivas stepped back. He saw now. Jack was no longer just a soldier. He was something else. Something old. Something powerful. After the humans fled, Jack turned to the girl. "Am I still me?" he asked. She looked sad. "You're more," she said, "but part of you is still yours. And the rest? Mine." That night, Jack stood in the rain alone. His heart was heavy. He felt the universe moving, like he was being pulled into something big, something ancient and far away in the black void between galaxies. Something opened its eyes and whispered his name. Her memories, his mind. The storm had changed. It no longer just rained. Now the sky whispered. When Jack walked through the alien lands, the wind spoke in forgotten words. Trees turned toward him. Broken machines blinked awake. Old lights followed, his steps. He was not just Jack anymore. He was something else. He didn't sleep much now. When he closed his eyes, he saw her past, not like a dream, but like a life. He stood in a crystal city above the stars. People bowed to him. He held a glowing staff in one hand. Behind him she stood, wearing a crown made of light and storm. She wasn't just a girl in those visions, she was a goddess. And he was her chosen, her protector, her downfall. Jack woke up shaking. Every night the memories got stronger. Every night he felt her pain deeper. She had been betrayed, not by strangers but by her own people. They feared her power, feared her voice. They called her the Storm Mother, the last of the Rainbringers, the queen who could end war or erase entire planets. So they tricked her. They tore her soul from her body, locked her inside a storm and left her to fade, until Jack came. The girl sat beside him on a ridge of smooth black stone. The rain touched her skin, glowing blue. She didn't speak at first. Then she said, "Your memories are opening faster. Soon you'll remember everything." "I already do," Jack replied. "I saw it, how they hurt you." She looked at him, her eyes full of ancient sorrow. "No, you only saw half. What's the other half?" "What you did to me." Jack froze. "Me?" She touched his chest right over the mark, and suddenly the world around him broke. He was no longer on the ridge. He was somewhere else, deep underground, inside a massive alien ruin, older than memory itself. Walls made of shifting metal and fire. Glowing symbols moved across the air like living creatures. The air buzzed with old songs, and in the center was her, not standing, but trapped, inside a giant crystal, eyes open, silent, screaming. Jack stepped closer in the vision, and then another version of him appeared, younger, colder, wearing alien armor. He placed his hand on the crystal. He whispered something, and the queen inside the crystal closed her eyes, silenced, frozen, sealed. Jack stumbled back in horror. "No," he said, "that wasn't me." But the girl's voice echoed inside his skull. "It was you, not in this life, but in another. The last guardian of the storm. You swore to protect me, but in the end, you feared me too." The vision faded. They were back, on the ridge. Jack collapsed on his knees. "I betrayed you." "Yes. And still, you saved me because you came back, because something in you remembered, and because this time, you're not afraid." Hours later, the ruins opened. The ground cracked wide near the storm field. A path of glowing stones led down into the earth. No human had ever gone there. No alien had returned from it. But when Jack stepped near, the stones lit up. They welcomed him. The girl walked behind him in silence. Together, they entered the ancient temple. Inside were walls covered in moving symbols. Echoes of her voice floated through the air, memories locked in crystal. Statues of her past forms, queen, warrior, mother, prisoner. At the end of the hall was a throne, and on it, a shattered crown. She walked to it, touched it, and cried. For the first time, Jack saw her cry. He stepped forward. "What do you want me to do?" She turned. "Take the crown." Jack hesitated. "I'm not ready." Neither was I. Jack reached out. The moment his fingers touched the broken crown, his body lit with white fire. Memories poured into him. Pain, joy, rage, love. And then, the void. The thing she warned him about. A black shadow outside the galaxy. It moved like hunger, breathed like death, and it was waking up. Jack opened his eyes. "I saw it," he said. "The thing that's coming. It's already here." She whispered. and we're the only ones who can stop it. How? By becoming what we once were. And what was that? She looked at him and smiled. Gods. That night, lightning danced across the sky, and Jack, now wearing the half-crown, stood in the center of the storm. His voice echoed across the land. Let the forgotten rise. And deep under the planet the old machines woke up. Reborn in the storm, the world was no longer quiet. Under Jack's feet, the ancient machines of the Storm Queen rose from the ground. Silver towers unfolded from the earth like sleeping giants. Lights danced in the sky. Old weapons, older than human history, blinked awake and waited for orders. The girl stood beside Jack, but now, people didn't see her as just a girl. They saw her as something more, something divine. Jack walked through the storm field with the half-crown glowing on his head. The mark on his chest had spread to his shoulders, glowing brighter with every step. Animals bowed when he passed. The rain followed him like it was alive, and the clouds began to whisper his name. But not everyone celebrated. Back on Earth, in deep war chambers, generals stared at holograms of Jack's growing power. He's not human anymore, one said. He's building something, said another. A throne, an army. He must be stopped before it's too late. They launched a mission, not to talk, but to kill. 6 black ships entered orbit above Deros 9. Each one carried fusion bombs, anti-energy weapons, and elite assassins. They thought it would be easy. Jack was just one man after all. One man. And a ghost queen. He felt them coming before they arrived. The air grew colder. The wind changed direction. They're here, Jack said. The girl didn't speak. She simply closed her eyes, and the sky turned black. The first ship entered the lower sky. Jack lifted one hand. A lightning bolt rose from the ground and struck it like a spear. The ship broke in two, raining fire across the forest. The other 5 opened fire. Giant blasts fell toward Jack's position. He didn't move, but the rain did. Each drop turned into a shield of energy. The ground shook, but Jack stood untouched. The girl whispered behind him, "You are becoming the storm now." On the ground, soldiers dropped from orbit. They wore armor that could survive suns, but they could not survive him. Jack walked into the middle of them. Without a word, the air around him cracked. Guns melted, armor froze. One soldier tried to run, but the ground pulled him under. "Mercy," he cried, but Jack only whispered, "You came to kill me." The girl touched Jack's shoulder. "Don't lose yourself," she said. He looked at her. "I already did." As the last human ship fell, Jack climbed the hill where the ancient tower had awakened. The crown on his head burned with light. And, below him, a new city was rising. Machines were building without orders. Lights were forming into shapes. Towers reached toward the sky like they remembered the stars. The Queen's empire was being reborn, and Jack was now its heart. The girl appeared, beside him, floating above the ground. "They'll keep coming," he said. "Let them," she answered. "What if they send everything?" She looked at him with ancient sadness. "Then we burn everything and start again?" Jack turned away. He no longer knew if he was saving her or becoming her. In the mirrors of the alien tower, he saw his reflection. Not his face, but hers. At night, he stood in the center of the storm where the lightning was thickest. He closed his eyes, and he called to the void. He didn't know why, but he felt it coming. That great shadow she warned him about. It had no shape, no name, but it was awake now, and it was moving. In the sky above the galaxy, a black hole blinked, not like a star, like an eye, watching Jack, waiting. Jack fell to his knees. The voice of the void entered his skull, cold and endless. "You are the bridge," it said. "You are the wound that never healed. And now, you belong to us." But then he heard another voice. Hers. Soft, full of pain, full of love. "Fight it." He stood, raised his arms, and screamed into the storm. And the storm screamed back. his body lit with white fire. The machines below turned to him, and all across the world, every being that carried her blood or her memory looked to the sky and felt it. Their queen had returned, but she was not alone now. She had a king. The queen and her human. The sky turned silent. No wind, no sound, no rain, just stillness. The kind of silence that comes before a scream. Jack stood at the highest tower of the alien city. His skin glowed with soft fire. His eyes no longer human. The crown pulsed like a heart. Below him, the city was alive. Machines moved like dancers. Towers rose like breath. And far above, the stars went dark. The void had arrived. A great shape moved beyond the clouds. Not a ship, not a creature. Just darkness. Endless. Cold. Hungry. It did not speak in words. Its voice was a feeling, like drowning while standing on dry ground. Jack gritted his teeth. The girl appeared beside him, her form now fully reborn, her hair like rivers of starlight, her hands glowing like small suns. But her eyes, still sad. "This is the end," she said softly, "or the beginning." "What do we do?" Jack asked. "You already chose," she replied. "You stayed." The void dropped a shadow on the world. Everything froze. Birds mid-flight, clouds mid-motion, even time stopped. But Jack and the girl stood outside of it all, unchained, awake. The ground cracked. Black roots grew upward from the sky, reaching toward the earth. From them, monsters fell. Creatures made of screams and broken memories. Giant things with no eyes. Silent things with too many mouths. They crawled toward the city, and the city roared back. The machines of the Storm Queen came alive. They sang old war songs in languages no longer known. Light towers fired beams into the heavens, and Jack, he became the storm. He leapt from the tower. Lightning wrapped around him like armor. His voice echoed across the land. "You will not take her again." He raised his hand. The rain bent sideways. The clouds opened. A wave of white fire swept through the creatures, but still they came. The girl lifted her arms. A circle of light formed around her. She spoke only one word: "Remember." And suddenly, the entire world remembered her. From dead planets, from hidden stars, from species that had forgotten their own names, her memory woke them. Ships began to appear in the sky, not human, not like hers, but old allies, old enemies, all answering her call, and together, they stood against the void. Jack was fading, his body cracking under the power. He fell to one knee. "I can't." "Hold it." The girl walked to him. She placed her hands on his face. "You don't need to hold it," she said. "We do it together." She leaned forward and kissed his forehead. At once, the storm exploded. Every drop of rain turned into fire. Every cloud became light, and Jack and the girl rose into the sky. As one, they entered the heart of the void, and for the first time ever, the void screamed. They didn't fight with weapons. They fought with memory, with love, with truth. Every pain, every betrayal, every moment of silence they had suffered, they gave it back, and the void could not take it. With one final breath, Jack spoke her name, her true name, the one lost for ages, the one that meant hope, born in storm. And the void broke. The black roots withered. The monsters faded. The silence shattered. The stars returned, and the rain became gentle again. Jack woke up in the field where it all began. The sky was blue now. The storm had passed. He looked to his side. She was there. No crown, no glowing skin, just her, a girl, eyes full of light. "Is it over?" he asked. "For now," she said. "What now?" She smiled. "We rebuild. And when the rain returns, we dance." Together they stood, no longer feared, no longer hunted. Just two souls, one human, one alien, who chose to stand beside each other when the galaxy fell apart. And as they walked through the field of flowers, the clouds watched and whispered, they belong to each other.